Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL. If you're new here, I like to do real-time, real-life amateur radio field activation videos. Today I'm at a very rainy, dreary Tuttle Educational State Forest, and I was just at another park this morning at Lake James, and I was the only person there. I'm the only person here as well. This isn't the sort of day people like to go out and play in the park, and so I've got the whole place to myself. And I've gotten previous permission from the park rangers here that I could use their shelter anytime it's not being used for something else, and it's not going to be used for anything else today. So I get to use this nice shelter. Now, I didn't see a ranger coming in, but if they see me, they'll probably recognize me anyway. They're very nice here. And this is a really nice shelter. I could go out and, actually, I brought along, I have an Eno hammock fly, like a rain fly that works with my hammock tent, but and I could bring it. I brought it along. I could have actually strung this up over something and used it to play radio over a picnic table or whatever I wanted to do, but frankly it's just so wet. I don't really want to have to deal with putting my stuff on the wet table and sit in a wet seat and everything when I've got this really nice picnic shelter here that, by the way, has a metal roof. I always want to point that out because it's not the most ideal place to play radio, but hey. And I'm going to pair a radio and an antenna I've never done before. This morning I used the AX1 antenna, the Elecraft AX1. I'm going to try to pair it with my Elecraft K2. This is an Elecraft K2 10. So it's a QRP version of the K2. I love this radio. It, like my Mission RG01, my Ten-Tech Argonaut 5, and my KX3, tends to live in my shack. But it's a wonderful field radio in its own right. It's a fantastic field radio. And I'm going to try to connect the Elecraft AX1 directly to it. I don't know if I can do that or not. I haven't tried it yet. We're going to try it together here. It could be a little tricky because the antenna port right here, antenna 1, is right next to the ground lug. I'm not 100% sure that I'll be able to get it to work with the bipod and everything else here. I don't know if there's enough clearance on the back. But if it's not a big deal. I've got a little 2-foot RG316 cable over here that I can hook up to AX1 on the AX1 tripod, and I'll be in great shape. Got a bunch of stuff here, and it's because before I left this morning for my QTH, I brought this red box. I like this. These are made by Husky. I think I bought it at Home Depot. I think that's who carries those. I like them because these can sit in the car. And frankly, I have to be careful in my car. We live out, in a very rural area and not a lot of houses around us. And in the wintertime, especially, little field mice like to get into the car, and they'll go in through your fresh air intake, and it's hard to keep them out. And I keep little humane traps and things in there, and I take them out and relocate them. But I just don't want them in my bags or any of my equipment in my car. So when I have my radio stuff, I'll pack it in this, and I know they can't get in it. The cool thing about it, though, is it acts like you can actually have it like a close and open lid here on a hinge system, but these are just regular latches. And when it's all closed up, it is completely watertight. And so I like this. They're great. They stack. My buddy Rod Hardman, he actually likes some made by Milwaukee that are in stacking sets that you can get. I haven't tried those yet, but this works fine for what I want, just to keep something in the car. I like it. And so my Mission RG01 is also in here, which is the reason I brought this along today, because it and the K2 can both fit in this very comfortably. So let's get this set up. Let's see if we can do it. Now, it's about, probably about 40 degrees. Not really that cold today, but it's cold enough. I want my fingers a little warmer while I'm doing CW. I'm probably going to have to take these gloves off while I'm setting up the K2. I don't know that I can do this at the same time. You're going to be here to watch the whole thing. Now, keep in mind, I always put chapters below. So if you just hover over the timeline, if you want to skip this whole part, I won't be offended. We can do that. Let me grab the AX1, and let's see here if this is even possible. I'd love it if I could connect it directly to the radio. I don't think I can put the radio on its bail if I do that, though, because the bail makes it point at like a really strong angle like this, and at the back, as you can see, the antenna would be coming out this way. So I'll have to leave the radio like this, just flat, if I can get it to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up my little AX1 antenna pouch. Grab, yeah, I'm going to have to take my gloves off. This is not going to work. I need to grab the AX1 antenna out. And by the way, this would be the perfect day to brew some coffee, but I passed by Little Guatemala, which is a cafe in Morganton, really nice one if you like Central American coffee beans. They roast them there. I've been to Central America and I love the coffee there when I'm there, and so it kind of reminds me of Central America. I like it. And I got a dark roast today, so I didn't actually brew here. I was planning to brew something here in the field. I've done that many times here at Tuttle, but not today. It is a perfect day for coffee, though. So let's see. Here it goes. Let's give this a little quick test here to see. So what I'm going to do is put the AX1 back on, do it this way, put it back on here. I might take the bipod off to do this, make sure I get it on right. Okay, good, it's on. So if I look here, you know what? I think it's going to work. I think this may work. So let's go ahead and get out the counterpoise and connect it to the ground lug, because that'll be a little easier to do. We'll go for 20 and 17 meters again. It was doing really well this morning, so with any luck, it'll be doing well now too, who knows. I have to say though, the band was super, super unstable. While I had some DX this morning, the QSB was really pronounced, so who knows what will happen. So let's go ahead and get this ground lug. You have to have a counterpoise. Okay, look, let's see. Oh, yes, okay, well, you know what? This won't be perfect, but I'm going to put one leg or one side of that little thing in there. So now I've got this connected directly to the ground lug here, so that should suffice. And now let's put the bipod legs on. Spread them out a bit here and see if I can make this work. Oh yeah, this is going to work. Okay, that's about at the extreme of what the little bipod legs can do. So, I have a secret weapon I bought on the way over here. I got some of these gear ties, and I thought, you know, if it's not stable on a radio, I may try to use a gear tie to help it, and I may try to do that with this. It's actually not too bad right now, because you know what? It's not windy today. I may not need this, but I know that I could take these, wrap it around here, and just give it a little extra stability, like making an extra set of legs. Let's see if I can get away without it, and if I can't, I'll just add them. Okay, let's go ahead and put the telescoping whip on. This makes it really, I think one of the appealing things to me about the AX1 antenna is it really does make me feel like it's proper portable radio. I mean, you're just using this little tiny, like 4-foot whip on an antenna. It really feels like the real deal of being portable. Okay, let's see here. I mentioned this before. This is my older ham radio workbench podcast DC distribution panel. They have a new one now, or we have a new one now. I'm on their crew now. And it's usually available through DigiKey. At the moment they're out, but they're going to be kitting up more and putting them on DigiKey, and DigiKey is the distributor for them. So they work pretty much. I mean, I know people that order these in the UK and they get them as quickly as I get them here in the States. DigiKey is incredibly efficient with their system, and we love them. So I would encourage you to check out the DC distribution panel. It's nicer than this one, actually, the new one, and I've got the new one in my shack using it, so, which is one of the reasons it's not here. Okay, now let's hook this up. There we go. And plug this in. So again, this is just the 10-watt version of the K2. Now I will, while the AX1 antenna can easily handle 10 watts, I think it's rated for 20 maybe. I'm only going to run it at 5 watts. Again, I need to do a little bit of magic back here at the back. First thing I got to do is stretch out the counterpoise wire. I mentioned this in the last video. If you have an AX1 antenna and you haven't had a lot of luck with it, it's probably because you haven't hooked up the counterpoise wire. It really needs a counterpoise wire. I'm trying to get some of the memory out of this because it's cold today. The wire wants to maintain its memory, so it's stretched out on the ground. There we go. Almost tempted to try to put this over the edge here. Maybe I'll try that. Yeah, okay. There we go. And let's make sure these bipod feet are on here really nicely, and they do appear to be. This is really pushing it to the limit. If it were windy, I would pull out those little gear ties, but I don't even think I need them today. I may stand corrected. If this falls over, then I'll grab the gear ties. But it's not windy right now. It's going to get very windy tonight. We have a front moving through, and temperature is going to drop again with that front. Okay, here we go. I don't edit anything, so if you're new to the channel, you're probably thinking, what's this guy doing? Does he have to show all this? Yeah, I do. That's the way I do this. Okay. Let's move this down so you can see a little bit better. Now, I won't be able to show, the front of the radio as easily as I could. Let's see. I'm going to try to rearrange this just to make it a little easier on you to see. Easier on me to manipulate. There we go. That's what's wrong with it. I had a problem earlier, and I have got a little, not a short there, but I've got like a loose connection there somewhere I need to figure out. Okay. Oh yeah, got to plug in my key. Got to plug in the key. Now let's hope the antenna isn't hiding the key port on the back. I don't think it is. No. That's right, the key is on this side. There we go. There we go. Get a little more coffee before this. Before this cools down. Let's see here if I can get this to tune. Now, it does have to be able to tune this in order for it to work, so let's move up to where I want to be. This receiver sounds so awesome. You know what? The bands are full of signals right now. I tried 140615. Can't remember. Okay, let's try to tune it. Let me remember how to do this. Again, I use this in the shack a whole lot more, and I don't have a... Okay, I've got to engage the tuner, it looks like. So I've got to go into the menus, and I have to remember how to do this. ATU. Wait. ATU. There we go, auto. Okay, and let's see here. Come on, do it. 1.4 to 1. 1.2 to 1. Okay, good. Holy cow, I've got that keyer set up fast. Oh, I think I was... I may move it down to 19. Okay, now I gotta get my log set up. First thing I'm gonna do, oh, I also need to plug in this camera, because you know what? I'm gonna run out of battery power here. I'm not careful. There we go. Don't take my frequency. Yeah, okay. I may have to retune if I move too far away from the original frequency, because these little antennas have a very high Q, so very narrow bandwidth. So what I'll do first is set up my Surface Go to log on the side. And I need to take out all of my entries from my previous activation. I've already sent in those logs, so that's perfectly fine to do. I'm not deleting anything. Whoops, okay, here we go. And delete. Yes. Yes. Okay. We're going to be on the 20 meter band in CW, and we're at K4861. This is one of the very few parks I just really do easily remember the park number because I'm here so often. Now let's set up paper logs, because you know me, I like to have paper logs too. I was having a rag chew last night with my buddy Brooks K04 QCC. He's getting closer and closer to doing a CW activation, and I think he may let me film it. Film his first one. Brooks is a great guy. Let's see, K4861. So we were doing a rag chew last night at a little slower speed, and he was doing a great job. And so I had to slow down, and I really did have to write down everything he said, because my brain couldn't keep the word together at that speed. If we were going a little faster, my brain would have been able to do it. But it was kind of fun because let me write this in, because yeah, I felt like old school. It's not often that I'm writing down a QSO as I'm doing it. Normally I just kind of do it in my head, but which is actually a best practice. You want to do that. But when you're doing something like this, it's perfectly fine to write it down sometimes, just to keep track. I'd actually write it down, then I'd go back and read the sentence. That's what I was doing with him. Okay, so 20 meters CW. And we'll put my gloves back on. If I can remember, I'll link to these gloves. These are, to me, about the best compromise for giving me my fingers access for doing CW and stuff, because you can pull the ends of the fingers off here like this. So you can actually feel. I think these are like for fishermen or something like that. And I feel like I can actually write with them on, which you can't do easily with a lot of other gloves. Okay. But you may notice sometimes I actually use my middle finger and my thumb, which is A lot of times the best way to do it, if I'm operating the shack, that's usually how I operate. But sometimes when I'm holding a pencil, I'll also just use my index finger. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and just start a, let me think of how to do this again. I don't do this often. I've only used this radio in the field once recently, and that was when I was taking it out for its very first time out. This is a radio I only got, was it in November or October of last year in 2022? And I use it in the shack, but I don't use all the same features in the shack that I do in the field. So I don't use the ATU at all because I've got a remote antenna tuner. Okay, message, and let's see if this is it. Yes, it is. It's about 1915. Wait, what am I doing writing the 15 in? I don't have anybody in here yet. It's so exciting using the AX1 with this. Oh, I should take a picture while I'm thinking about it. There, I took a few photos. I did schedule the activation when I was grabbing my coffee, actually. With any luck, someone will hear me. Come on, K2, you could do this. Good to get your logs. I just realized I have my power set up to 10 watts. I think that's okay. Okay, look. Good to get you in here again. Da-da-da-da-da. Five, 6, 9, not bad. Nice, I parked a park. That's okay, I've got you. Sixes are hard to do. I hear you. Wow, where are all these people coming from? Okay, gotcha. Missouri. Did I hear a V? Okay. Good to get you in here, Rich. Whoa. Okay. You may be wondering, why are you leaving the filter so wide? I do this on occasion just to kind of train my ear. Okay, I heard an AA. I like having the filter a little wide sometimes. I can hear what's around me, but also it just trains my ear to kind of stay focused on what I'm... It works on my internal filter. So I do this on occasion. I may narrow it in a bit, but it's good practice. Illinois. WK1V. I heard that noise behind me. I thought maybe a school bus is coming, and I turn around. No, it's a garbage truck. Wait a minute. Okay. What is that? After... Oh! Okay. Nice, Tennessee. Okay. Okay, I heard. I'm missing one letter. Oh, there we go. Nice call. I'm a big fan of jazz music. Yeah, 229, about the same. Nice, Utah. Okay. Okay, Jay. Nice to get you in here again. Worked him this morning, too. That's it. Oh wow, South Dakota. You see what he did with his call there? V4VU. That's an interesting series in Morse code. Oh, that must be it. Okay. That is what I heard. Oh, okay. Just make sure I got that right. I can't do it. Okay, maybe it's K2993. Is that right? Oh, I had it right. Okay. All right. Is it a little tough hearing all those other signals in there? It should be tough. It's good training for your ear. Okay, wait. Sorry, I don't know why I was a little late on that. You know, I find it much easier, though, to copy CW than single sideband these days. Oh, wait. How did I get that so wrong? PYF, I think, is right. It is good evening for you. That's great to work you. No way! A park to park in England. Nice! On an AX1! Modders is awesome. Okay. Hang on, I can't get this open. Sometimes you should just open up your filter and let it be a little wide. Did I get that right? Good to get you in logs. Let's turn the power all the way up this time. Well, let's do it to 10. Okay, I heard a station ending with an M. Sorry. Okay. Okay, let's move it up a band. Let's go up to 17 meters here real quick, and I'll do a little bit. Don't expect as much activity up here, but let's do this. Holy cow, man, this is crazy. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this radio with this little antenna that I can see the tip top of. It's so small. And I worked all the way out to like Idaho, Colorado. I worked park to park in Colorado with Jonathan, I believe. Was that a park to park? I worked with him. And yeah, and all the way out to England, a park to park in England with this and 5 watts. Yes, I turned it up to 10 watts here at the very end, and I'll probably leave it at 10 watts for 17 meters just for kicks and giggles. So let's see here. Let me get in here and make sure that I change this in my long, so I'm moving to 17 meters. I don't want to forget. There we go. Okay, I've got to flip a switch back here. There we go. You could hear the noise level went up just a tiny bit. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Will it tune it? Okay. Are we in a good place? We're in a good place. 1 to 1. Okay, yeah. Let's see what we can do here, shall we? Surely. Let's see. Okay. I always have to remember, where is play? Why do I have to look for it? Message, that's right. Message. I keep looking for play, but it's just message. This is crazy fun, man. I just love this. I love it. I really feel like it's the true spirit of QRP when you've got something so simple. Taking a few pictures here off to the side while I've got a second to breathe. Just love this. I love it. So what I was trying to say before about leaving your filter open, first of all, it's a good practice to do it because it kind of tunes up your filter in your head so that you can filter out everything else you're hearing and just listen to that one signal, because sometimes during contest conditions especially, you don't have the luxury of, even with like really narrow filters, you'll still hear other signals coming in. Plus, there's also something really nice to know what's around you. So if someone's a little off frequency, you can hear them a lot easier than if you have a really narrow filter engaged on a modern transceiver where the So at least got one contact down 17 meters. I see one in here I need to correct in my contacts. Whoops, sorry. Kicking around the camera. This is just so much fun, I don't want to stop. Whoops, did I hear somebody in there really quietly? Gosh, I feel like I can almost hear somebody. I love the K2. I just love this radio. The the QSK is so silky smooth on this thing. Good to get you in here again. I'll do just a couple more minutes here and then I'm going to hop off. It is time I need to go grab something on the way into town. It's funny, 17 meters is pretty quiet today. 20 meters was hopping. Man, this was crazy. It was so nice. I'll just leave it on repeat here. I've got 38 contacts. Very pleased with this. Very, very pleased. If you can get a K2, if you want to build one, you can still get these from Elecraft. I don't know if they're in stock or not, but I'm hearing a signal, but it's way off. I think it's probably a kilohertz away because I got the filter still wide open on this thing, pretty much. Okay, this will be my last time here, and then I'm going to call QRT. This video is going on a long time. We're at 72 minutes. There we go. This was amazing. Okay. Let me unplug this camera and put things up here so I can actually talk. Sorry you can hear a lot of camera noise. I'm going to put this part of this tripod. This was amazing fun. I mean, I'm just looking at this, and it's so wild to see. This just looks so kind of what I dreamed of when I was a kid. To have a radio with just a telescoping whip, just like I would have with my Zenith Transoceanic. In fact, this whip's not even as long as my Zenith whip. And I'm sitting here making contacts almost to the West Coast and all the way out across the pond into England with a park to park. I mean, it's just insane, isn't it? I love this. And this is the reason why I really do consider the AX1 to be such a valuable antenna in my field kit. Now, if I had like a 20-meter InFed half-wave strung up over here, which I could have easily done, I don't mind getting wet and doing that at all, but I actually made a little promise to myself earlier this year to not do any full year-long goal. I've done that in the past, and last year I was trying to do that with an antenna challenge every month, building a new antenna, but life got in the way, and there was like almost nearly a whole month I wasn't able to activate and all these other things, and it just got behind and it didn't happen. And this year I said, no, I'm not going to put that kind of stress on myself because I do have a pretty active family life, and if you've been following my channel, like I always say, most of my activations are not premeditated more than maybe an hour in advance, because really I just squeeze it in my schedule. And the thing is, like, I find with antennas, I enjoy experimenting with them. I enjoy trying different antennas in different situations. And most of the time, when I'm in a hurry, what's most important is how quickly I can deploy the antenna. And probably by now, there have already been a series of blog posts and videos using the AX1 antenna. And I thought at first, like, hey, maybe you ought to try for a whole month, only use the AX1 antenna. I'd be really happy doing that. In fact, it'd make my activation super easy because this is so darn easy to deploy. This was the very first time I ever deployed it with the K2. And I was able to just hook it up and make it go, right? It's super, super easy to deploy this antenna. So it's quick. And but I decided not to make myself a promise to do that because I have other radios coming in potentially to be reviewed. I've just got a lot of other things going on, and if I promise myself that I'll only use this antenna for an entire month, I'm going to run into a situation where I really want to use a different antenna to try out with a different radio, like if I'm doing an evaluation or something. So it's really not realistic for me to say that. However, I have been through a little sort of run of using the AX1 antenna, and I just really enjoy it. I'm kind of waiting for that day that it just doesn't work for me, but that has never happened, ever. It has worked for me everywhere I've taken it. You know, as far north here in North America as Quebec City, and I've used it in Georgia. I haven't really used it anywhere south of Georgia that I know of, but I mean, like, it just works everywhere I take the thing. It just works, and I love it. And so I just ordered, I think it was like 2 days ago, I ordered an AX2 antenna, which is just a 20-meter version of this. And I hesitated ordering it in the past because I thought, well, I've got an AX1 and it can do 3 different bands with my 40-meter coil. It'll do 40, 20, and 17. I don't have the coil on right now, of course. And I thought, well, I probably don't need an AX2. But I decided, you know, maybe I ought to get an AX2 because it's like one unit. Maybe it'll be kind of fun to play with that. So it's on its way. It may be arriving today, for all I know, at the post office. It's been shipped already. It's one of the few things at Elecraft that you can order and get pretty quickly, actually, right now, because they are behind with supplies and everything else being so low at the moment. But man, I tell you what, if you have a KX series radio and you live like in North America, you don't live on an island in the middle of the Pacific or something, or a really remote area like Alaska or something, I would encourage you to get an AX1 antenna or an AX2 for 20 meters. At the moment, our solar cycle's in a place where 20 meters is being very productive. 2 years ago, 20 meters was pretty dead. When you go out and try to do an activation, it was like the least likely to get your 10 contacts was on 20 meters. Right now, 20 meters is the most likely place to get them, I think, during the day. In the evening, of course, 40 meters is still really hot in the other bands as well, 30 meters. But I think even though you're paying, you know, quite a bit for this little antenna, it's just so valuable because you can take this places you can't take anything else. And this is not one of those examples. I've got this whole park to myself. But like if I wanted to, I was planning to do an activation at the state capitol in Raleigh a few weeks ago when I was in Raleigh. And I will do this. And I was just going to use the AX1 on a park bench. And I know for a fact I'll be able to do my activation with that. And I don't think that that's a place, they have security and stuff around there. They would get really suspicious if you started launching wires into trees and doing things like that. They wouldn't like that, I bet, without some kind of prior approval. But with the AX1, this thing can just sit in my lap, and I don't have to do anything else. I can just string out, 13 feet of wire, and that's all. Super, super low impact. So that's the reason I think it's really a valuable antenna. I have also used an MFJ and Comet. Both make a portable antenna, sort of like the AX1, that has taps in it. So you tap this coil, and I think it'll go all the way down to like 40, maybe 80 meters. I can't remember. And I've just not had a ton of luck with it. I find that I still need to use a tuner, or else you've got to be very, very picky about messing with the counterpoise. And the reason why is this antenna, I'll tell you a quick story. I took this antenna, hooked it up to my ICOM IC705 at my house in the mountains, and I wanted to use it with my 705. My 705 does not have a built-in antenna tuner, and the AX1's designed to, on 20 meters, be close to resonant, but it can't just be exactly resonant. And that's the reason why you use your ATU to kind of finish off that match. Well, I made this capacity hat, which is basically a clip that I clip onto the whip. And so I put it on the top of the whip, and I tinkered with it with this is like 4 legs, and when they're deployed, it looks like an X, and you just attach it to the top of the whip. And at my house, I was getting a 1-to-1 with that thing and my regular counterpoise. I took it to the coast of North Carolina, and I could not get a good match with it at the top. And I thought, gosh, I didn't really plan on that. I thought it'd be pretty close. But it wasn't. It was not an acceptable match. But I found that if I moved the capacity hat further down, like maybe about midway, then I was getting a much better match, like closer to a 1-to-1. So these little antennas you're not going to get the same SWR in different places where you take it. So you have to have some way to either a capacity hat or a little tuner or something, just to kind of bring that match in a little bit closer so that your transceiver's happy. I think anything under 2-to-1 will work just fine. So keep that in mind when you're using those antennas. And I find that with the MFJ and the Comet one, while they can work, you still have to have something to match them. And if you're doing it without an antenna tuner, then you have to be really careful with the counterpoise, or using the antenna to change the length of the antenna by just bringing in some of the segments a little bit. It's just a really fiddly process. I just find that the AX1 is just not fiddly. I can usually get a match off of pretty much any antenna tuner and using a capacity hat. That's the reason I like it so much. Plus, it packs away so small that I could put it in anything. I don't have to even have the separate pack for it. I can put it in anything else. I just keep it in the separate pack just to make it a little easier on me. Okay, I better hop out of here. It's actually getting colder and colder. We've got a cold front moving in, or a front moving in tonight, and we'll have a little snow at our house in the mountains. Here it's just rain right now, and we're going to get a lot of winds tonight, I think. I actually like this one. I'm very, very tempted to take a hike. It's not too rainy right now. I may do a hike. I do have an errand to run in town before the shops close, so I'll have to kind of just calculate things and see if it works. But there I go. Under a metal roof, in a shelter, kind of down in a little hole here. If you can see, the land rises up. You can't tell it as easily on a camera, but the land kind of rises up. I'm down in a little hole. My antenna's not even at ground level where my car is up there. If I were to draw a horizontal line straight across, it would be below that level. Yet under this metal roof, with that little tiny 4-foot antenna, I did a park-to-park in England, and really appreciate the fact that they looked me up to do that. I think it's Modders who did that. Really appreciate the fact that they called me for that park-to-park. That's a little highlight for today. Earlier today, I was using this with the Mission RGO1, and I worked Italy, again, with the same antenna underneath a shelter. And so That's what this stuff's all about. I just love this. It's fun to experiment with antennas. It's fun to try things like this and just be a portable ham. Anyway, I better stop talking. I better start packing up. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you get a chance to go out and play a little radio. As I always say, if you get a chance, consider it an honor to help mentor someone in the ham radio community who needs it. So if someone's in your club, if someone reaches out to you and they're asking questions about your kit, you know, what you're doing, how to get on the air, how to get their license, any of that stuff, if they're anywhere near you, meet up with them. If they're not, work with them online and help them out. Call them on the phone, whatever it takes, and encourage them, because it is one of those things, ham radio can feel very solitary. And I do think that one of the things that holds us all together these days are things like these activities like Parks on the Air, Summits on the Air, our local ham radio club meetings. Those are very important, and some of the conventions and ham fests and things. We all do need to meet up from time to time, and especially when you're new in the hobby, it can feel like you're kind of lonely out there, just studying for your exam or just trying to learn how to put everything together. And ham radio equipment's expensive enough that people are kind of careful about. They're a little cautious about what they purchase to put it all together to make themselves either a field kit or a home radio kit or whatever. Just help them out with that, and they'll forever be grateful. Ham radio is built upon a community of people helping each other. So be that good ambassador, be that good Elmer and mentor, and try to help someone else. And, of course, be kind to one another. We need more of that on our planet. All we got on this old planet's each other. So take care, and until next time, 7 threes.